catalyst for change with the chance to thrive. Crystal is the one to stir up gifts and save lives. You get exposure, promotion, and marketing too. And advertise for business owners just like you. On Storytime, your interview is global. Virtual or in person, just come on the show. Yo, your story matters. Crystals will open the door. 40 years of experience, ready to give you more on Storytime. Get ready for Storytime. Hey, come on.
Good evening, and welcome to Storytime. How are you today? This is Crystal, and once again, we are back for another episode of Storytime. And we want to remind you that here is where we are connecting and finding out about life situations. I am so excited to be here today. And for those of you who've never been here before, Storytime is where human beings connect through life experiences. And we are here, and we generally do come on Sundays at 8 p.m. and Wednesdays. And we will have some changes coming up lately, so please get ready for that. So today, I'm so excited about the guest that I'm bringing to you today, ladies and gentlemen. I have the honor of bringing someone that is going to be important with everything we have going on right now in the community, in the world, because we're getting into a state where voting is going to be important. So our guest tonight is going to be Representative James Roberson from North Carolina, House of District 39. And I am going to start by just telling you that, you've seen me bring different people here that we've talked to for many reasons, but now I want to shift because we need to take advantage of this internet and make sure we bring attention to the necessary things. And tonight, that's going to be discussed with our guest tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Roberson. Now, he's originally from Wilson, North Carolina, and he's a graduate of Hunt High School, and his background is very extensive. He's done many, many things in the area, and I'm going to let him come up because I don't want to do any injustice. And so let's get this thing started with Mr. Roberson. Are you there, sir?
I am here, Crystal. How are you?
I'm doing just great. I first want to say you are the first House of Representative or political person that I've had on. I've had celebrities, I've had authors, I've had ministers, but there's a first for everything, and you are the first in that category. So congratulations to you and to me for that. How you doing tonight?
I am doing well, and thank you. It's nice to know that I've made history tonight on your podcast. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful conversation. And thank you so much for what you're doing for the community and getting information out and educating our community, because we have a lot of issues on the table that are very important. And we need to try to reach the masses by various means. And this is one of those opportunities through your podcast. So again, thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, because what people don't realize is the internet has taken over. It is replacing the television. It's replacing cable. And people really have to understand their influence today with the internet. And so we do have to take advantage and make sure we speak to the things that can change the world, because people are listening and watching from everywhere. And here's the thing, they may not watch live, but sometimes there's a lot of replays and people come back. And when we have these things posted, like for me, I have multiple platforms on all kind of social media, from YouTube to LinkedIn to Facebook. Right now, they're watching on all of those. And then we have things like Spotify and Patreon and other places where they'll still hear it. So it is really, really, really the new wave. And a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and political people really need to understand it is the way to go. So kudos to you. So, sir, before I get into your political background, I like people to get a feel for who the guest is, because a lot of times we we don't know who the individual is. And I did tell them that you went to high school, but I want to take it back to before that, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
When you were a little boy, tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing, and whether or not you dreamed of being in office one day.
Well, and thank you for that question. I often get that question, and it has truly been a blessing to be where I am today. But a great deal of credit goes to my mom, and she's one that just believed in being involved in the community. She believed in exercising your vote, your right to vote, and she instilled that. She instilled in us good, strong work ethics and good values. And so we were able to take those values and become, resourceful and to kind of carve out our way. I grew up with a single parent, but my mom was the mother of 5 kids, but she was passionate about education. She was a champion for education. She believed that education was the pathway to success. And so she's always taught us how to be resourceful and to create those pathways. And that's why I'm here today. But I remember as young as 5 years old, I used to get up with my mom and go out with her to get folks registered to vote. And on those cool September, October mornings. And then in November, we would sit and watch the returns of the elections. And at that time, there were only like 3 major channels. There was WRAL, well, not WRAL, CBS, I'm sorry, CBS, NBC, and ABC. And so my mom was a huge Walter Cronkite fan. And so we all would sit there and watch the returns of the elections as well as the return on the local level. And, she would have these discussions with why she voted for this person, why it was important to vote for this person, why it was important to find someone that cared about the community and made an impact in your community and was making an impact in your community. Those things are important. And so that stuck with me, never in my wildest dreams. Fast forward to today, I think I would be in the position that I'm in today. But when I get that question, I often reflect back and I just remember that experience of going with her, knocking on doors, getting folks registered to vote.
Now, and then over the past 16 years, Representative Roberson, you've been a leader. You've been a leader in many areas. So we know that you definitely do understand what it takes to be a leader. So let me ask you something. Was this a dream as a child? After you got the exposure, did you think about running for office in any capacity?
It never dawned on me. My goal was to become a radio personality and to go off to school and major in communications, which I did. I received my undergrad from Shaw University in radio, TV, and film. And so my goal was to one day be able to produce and direct movies and, work in radio. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this opportunity will come knocking at my door. But I believe that, God has a plan for all of us.
Yes.
And
yes, that's good. That's good. So you were exposed as a child. Talk to me about that for a minute so parents understand how that influenced you just going to the polls. A lot of times parents go to the polls and they leave their children at home. Do you think that is an important step that people need to take by taking their children with them to the polls and having those conversations at the dinner tables, which we don't sit down at the dinner table much anymore, but when they do, to have those conversations?
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. And that's what took place in our household. There was constant conversations about our local elected officials, our state elected officials, and those that are on the national level. Those things were important. And so by being around my mom and having these conversations, whether it was with neighbors, going to the polls, knocking on doors, for us, you know, it was something that we became interested in, and we understood how important it was. I was too young at the time when Dr. King passed, but my mom, throughout the years, taught us about the impact that he had made and that others had made, like Malcolm X, Rosa Parks and others. And so those things had a profound impact on us, especially growing up during that time. So it was just important for our family to understand the significance of getting out and exercising our rights to vote, because folks paid their lives for that.
Now, sir, you are also from North Carolina in this local area. How did that make you feel to be able to give back and to serve in this area, which I know you've served in many positions, but a lot of times people don't get honor. They talk about that in a good book at home. So it's obvious that you're getting that in your home state. So how did that make you feel?
Well, it made me feel good once I realized what I was doing, because we were always taught to pay it forward. I think I was maybe just too young to understand what that meant. And so when I decided to run for a local seat here in the town of Nightdale, I still didn't have a full grasp of the contributions I would be making. I was having a conversation with my neighbor, who happened to be a Republican. I'm a Democrat. And we used to meet every day after work, right between our homes, and have these constructive conversations about politics. There were some things we agreed on. There were some things we did not agree on, but they were constructive conversations. And when it was all said and done, we remained friends. And actually, that's the person that propelled me to run for office in local government. He was already a member of the town council. And, he said, your name is floating around. And he said, I'll just be frank with you. We need diversity on this governing board. And he says, I think you will make a great candidate. And he supported me. And so, I believe when God placed these folks before you, and you just have to be ready to make that decision and say, okay, well, this is the path that God is sending me on. And it has just made a world of difference. So that's just one of those stories where someone has really had a tremendous impact on me. My mom and my former neighbor, but there were other folks along the way. My brother, who was a professional artist, who passed away when he was 37, but he reached his dreams because he was very involved in civic duties and giving back to the community. So, I didn't realize that I was paying it forward until I got elected and, started having conversations with constituents and really listening to their challenges. I think growing up in a single family home, growing up in poverty, made me a more compassionate person, because I understood what that person or those persons that were struggling, were facing. And it's not that, everyone wants a handout, but I strongly believe through my journey that folks from time to time just need to be uplifted.
Right.
Some form or fashion. And so we're quick to judge and say, well, let's dismiss this person because, this person is just looking for a handout. There are good, hardworking people out here.
Yes.
That have contributed to our local economies, that have contributed to our state economies, our national economies. And these are good, hardworking folks. Sometimes they just haven't had the opportunities that others might have had. And so I think it's all of our responsibilities, especially for someone coming up through the ranks like myself, to share those success stories. to let one know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to require hard work. It's going to requires sacrificing, your time and energy. But I promise you, you will be surrounded with love and support for those that would recognize your efforts, and you'll be able to pay it forward. And that's where I am today. And the reason I'm in state government now, the
Yes.
reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to pay it forward. I
Yeah.
don't be the only person of color sitting on a governing board. That's not helping me. It's not helping our community. It's not helping others that may have the desire.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute. A lot of people don't feel like it makes a difference. A lot of time they think their voice doesn't matter. They feel like they're outnumbered. They feel like it's a waste of time. What would you say to individuals that is watching, that may come back and do the replay, about why it does matter and why we can't have that mentality, regardless of what has happened previously? We have to change our mindset and come out, vote, and do our part. What can you say to them to encourage them to know that we are needed out here? Our vote does count.
Just look at some of the things that have happened, over the years. Some years ago, we elected our first African-American president. There have been some other notable leaders on the state level, the county level, our local level. We have our first African-American female mayor in the history of Knightdale, serving on a governing board. So when those are perfect examples of why it does matter. And, although you may feel that your vote does not count, I stand here to tell you it does. It does. And I know there are, especially with this younger generation, folks are frustrated. They're frustrated with what's going on abroad, with what's going on in Israel and Palestine. But I can assure you, if you do not take a stand, if you do not get out and exercise your vote, and if you do not do your homework, just don't go. Social media is great, but just don't go to social media and everything you see on social media, all of a sudden you began to adapt that narrative and buy into that narrative. I received my master's in library and information science. So I know from those skill sets to go in, when I'm reading an article, I'll go down and look and find out who the source is. And when I find out who the source is, I look up their background information. So it takes work, but it's good hard work. It's rewarding work, so you can make a sound decision in terms of who's going to best represent you and your community. And so I would just tell folks, look at what has happened over the years. We have our first African-American vice president of the United States. It just didn't happen. This is because they got out and they exercised their vote.
So let me ask a question. I don't know. They got this new thing now where these emojis pop up. I don't know how that pop up just happened, but I guess when you say things now, they just have this thing up there where they pop up. Yeah. So a lot of people don't understand the importance of voting on the local level. They think it's just about voting for president. Can you speak to that for a minute? A lot of people really don't understand how the governing bodies in their cities help the big picture.
Well, on a local level, that's where things began. It's your community. These are your streets. These are your institutions of education. These are your local businesses. So that's first and foremost. These are job opportunities that folks are able to realize with that growth from your local government. So it's very important to be involved in local government. It's very important to get on some of these committees and understand how development works, understand why it's important to bring in affordable housing, or how this affordable housing piece is going to look over here, what impact it would have to the with the community. Does this developer have your best interests at heart when they're coming to build in your community? The educational partnerships, those things are important. And what better way to be involved and to get involved to start with your local government?
Now, I know that you led in education, economic development, public safety, health and wellness, and you believe in education, and you know that it's the key to economic growth, and it contributes to the development of prosperous and safe communities.
Right.
So with your background, that's understandable for you, but there's so many other people that they have something to contribute to. Can you speak to what it is that individuals that are out here as maybe your advocates or your activists or your community leaders, what can they do more of to make their presence known and to help us to make a difference for you guys?
Well, I would have to go back to exercising your vote. The last election, 8% of African Americans did not participate in the election process. And that could have made a difference in terms of, having the majority downtown.
Right.
On Jones Street. It could have made a difference on a national level. So these things that we all are pushing for in terms of getting college students relief, on this massive amount of debt that they incur, where they may not have the opportunity to ever own a home, but they've been taught and it's been instilled in them to go on and further your education. But these folks are, they're numb to it because they don't see a pathway. They don't see a pathway to jobs. So, those type of things makes a difference. And what happened with our last election, these were not just regular folk. These were school teachers. These were first responders. These were nurses. They didn't get out to vote. And it made, it had a significant impact on where we are today. And now, we find ourselves behind the 8 ball fighting for our public school system, making sure that our history is retained in our public school system, making sure that teachers get substantial pay raises, not the 1 or 2 or 3% pay increase. We're ranked at the bottom nationally when it comes to education. This is North Carolina. We're surrounded by institutions of higher ed, HBCUs, other educational entities. And we should be a model for the rest of the United States. But unfortunately, we're not, because we're losing good quality teachers, good quality staff members, good state employees. And as a result, our economy will suffer.
Yes, sir. Now, let me ask you this, because some people may not know. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to James Roberson. You see it go across the screen. He is the representative for North Carolina House District 39. But those who really don't understand what your responsibility is in that position, can you share with them what it is that you do?
Well, when you get to state government, you enact bills, laws. And so, there are pieces of legislation that we push for, like better pay for our teachers and state employees. And so the way it works, if you have the majority of one party and the minority of another party, the majority basically rules. So a lot of these pieces of legislations that have been passed over the past year that we may deemed as not good legislation, it's because they've had the majority and they've been able to, vote in favor of those laws that they have come up with. But we also have some laws that we have put forth, but sometimes they don't make it to the floor because the other party may not agree with this. They may not be in support of our educators getting 7 or 10% raises. And so there's a lot of negotiation that's going on. So, we're able to um, enact bills, come up with bills that we feel may better serve our community, and then we push for those bills to make it to the floor. And if they make it to the floor, they can either get a vote up or down on the floor. But it's a wonderful opportunity for me as a legislator to come up with some bills that I think are important for my district. One particular bill that we have that we're going to be putting back on the floor, or we're hoping that'll make it to the floor in this short session, which starts April 24th, is a 529 bill, and it is a local bill. So a local bill is a bill that is 15 counties or below. And so it's more like a pilot project that we're doing. So we've identified several counties, Wake County, and I believe there's um, a few other counties. There's a rural county that is included in this bill. And what it will do for every child that is born in poverty, the state will contribute to an educational fund until the child is 18 years old. So that's a lot of money that's accruing with interest over a period of 18 years. So by the time they reach 18 years of age, there's enough money, hopefully, for that individual to go off to an institution of higher ed, whether it's a community college or a 4-year institution. And the hope is also, because there are models that we adapted this from other states. I believe it's West Virginia, which it has been very successful. Parents will see this money growing into this account. And so they will feel that, it's important for them to contribute as well. Now, one may say, well, what if the child decides not to go to school? Well, keep in mind that money grows over an 18-year period with interest accrued. So if that child decides not to go on to an institution of higher ed, that money reverts back to the state with interest. So it's a win-win situation, because I strongly believe if you create pathways and opportunities, especially through that educational pipeline, there's no way we can fail.
Wow.
On a local, county, or state level, because now you are giving folks an opportunity to get gainfully employed, and you're taking folks from $13 an hour to now maybe $25, $30, or $40 an hour, where they can pursue the American dream of owning a home, better providing for their families. So that's going to empower them, and it's going to spark our local economies, because now you got homeowners that are paying taxes. Some of these folks may go through the community college and start a small business. We've had some success stories right here in the Knightdale community where we've had folks that have started their business. And so that tax-based money goes to the local economies. And that's why when you go to these local municipalities and you see these things like your improvements on parks and recs and other services and amenities, that's because of the tax revenue that is coming from our businesses and that are coming from residential.
Wow. Now, you know what? A lot of people don't know who their representative is. Like, you are the representative for District 39, and a lot of people don't know when they should contact the representative. Sometimes they may be in a situation, and writing a letter to your representative can help. Can you talk for a moment about what the importance is in knowing who your representative is and when they may be able to help a citizen?
That's very important. My office receives tons of calls when it comes to a number of issues. There may be something regarding a leash law, or someone's dog may have been attacked. These are things that we as legislators also serve as a resource to try to identify what the problem is. When I was first appointed to this position, there was a elderly woman in Wendell that reached out to me and said their street had not been paved in like 10 years. So it had potholes, and folks were constantly having to take their cars in and get them repaired. And through my partnership as a local leader with members downtown, I was able to identify a member that now serves on the council who was working for DOT at the time. And I was sharing with him this concern. And so he says, say no more. We'll make sure that we get someone out there. That road was paved within 2 weeks. So those type of things. There may be an issue with someone not receiving their Social Security check. So, they make a call to your representative because there's a lot of red tape sometimes, and sometimes folks may drop the ball, and all of a sudden that person has been waiting and depending on that Social Security check. So my office, we're able to pick up the phone to that agency and say, hey, what's going on here? This person haven't received his or her Social Security check in the last 2 months. And by the end of the day, a lot of these things are solved or resolved.
Wow.
So things.
And so how would a person go about doing that? If they needed to reach out, what would be the proper way for them to do it? They just need to, I guess, call downtown and find out who the representative is, tell them their address, and then is that what they would do?
Well, yeah, you can go online and find out who your representative is. And once you go online, you can put in your address and your representative, you have a representative, you have a senator. Those names will come up, and your district will come up. So I'm in District 39. District 39 consists of parts of Northeast Raleigh, from the Hedingham subdivision back towards Knightdale, Wendell, Zebulon, and parts of Roseville.
Okay.
So that's my district. Now, I think going past that, it becomes District 38 when you go further down Southeast Raleigh. And I used to have that district, that is part of my district. But again, when you have the majority in office, they get to control everything. And so they redrew the lines. And so my district extended further down New Bern Avenue. But of course, through a series of redrawing the maps, there were some adjustments made.
So I do see that Minister Brenda Jackson did put a post up. And if you're out there, let us know you're out there. You can put it in the comments. You can ask a question, and I'll certainly make sure that I post it so he can see it. We have to get more active. We have to engage more. Don't just watch. Sit back, speak up, and let us know what you're thinking. So Minister Brenda Jackson said, we are voting. I don't see anything changing for us. We are being erased out of our community with all of our votes. We don't have a voice speaking up for us. We need it now. Well, what do you say to Minister Jackson?
Well, Minister Jackson, thank you for being a part of this program. I would say, you are a leader. And I get frustrated just like the next person. As I mentioned on the front end of this conversation, that 8% of African Americans did not vote the last general election, which could have made a difference. But I also recognize as a leader, it is my job to work even harder and try to identify ways of educating folks on the importance of voting. So I've been speaking to small groups. I've been, there's been opportunities where whereas I've befriended folks and they were not registered to vote. We packaged up things and we mailed things off for them. We got them to sign up and got them registered to vote. And then we took them down to the polls to vote. Now, that may be one or two persons every now and then, but that's better than no one at all or not doing anything. So I think as leaders, we have a responsibility and we can't give up. You know, there are other notable leaders that are still working extremely hard to make sure that we understand and get folks to understand the importance of voting. And so I would just say, as a leader, if you have any ideas, you can get my information. I would love to partner with you if it's just speaking to a few groups. If you identify some folks, I don't care if it's 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people. Those are the most impactful meetings in terms of being able to answer questions and persuading folks and get folks to understand the importance. I get frustrated just like the next person, but I sign up for this. And, as leaders, this is what we have to keep in mind. You, Crystal, with your podcast, you signed up for this. You are a leader. So you've created an avenue to get information out as to why it is important for folks to get out to vote.
Definitely. And I'm saying to everybody that's watching, please don't sit back. If you have a question, you have an individual here who can perhaps guide you in the right direction. Ask your questions. This is what we have to do. A lot of times we sit back, we complain, and we're not proactive, we're reactive. So we have to be more proactive. And my mission as a catalyst for hope and a change agent and a voice for change is to bring people who can help us. So if you have something that you're dealing with, speak up, speak up. Now, I heard you say something about the HBCUs, and right now with all the gentrification and all the building, oh my goodness, Raleigh is building so much. From what you can see, should we be concerned about our HBCUs? Because right now it's a lot going on in this area, and I'm a graduate of St. Augustine's and you went to Shore. So should we be concerned, and what can we do as citizens to help?
We should always be concerned regarding our HBCUs. A lot of us are in the positions that we're in because of our HBCUs. And so we know that our HBCUs brings value to our local economy. The billions and billions of dollars that are created, HBCUs have played a profound part in those dollars being generated. And so we must do everything to support our HBCUs. We can't go to sleep at the wheel. We can't just say, well, this institution has been here since 1865. It's going to be okay. It's not. Over the years, we continue to have these paradigm shifts. We continue to have these trends. And so it's important that we do everything possible to support our HBCUs and to make sure that they have a seat at the table when it comes to a growing local economy, when it comes to educational opportunities, when it comes to scholarships, when it comes to releasing the best teachers, engineers, farmers, nurses, and the likes. So how do we do that? We need to step forward and support our HBCUs financially.
Yes.
Graduate of Shaw University. I don't have a lot of money. I am a retiree from the community college system, but we make it a point to give back to our beloved institution that took care of me. I would not be where I am today if it were not for my experience at the Shaw University.
Now you were doing pretty good with me, but I'm a Falcon, so I don't know. But I'm gonna show you a little bit of love and respect, because those were our rivals, boy, and it was a good rivalry too back in the day when I attended. And those are the things that we can laugh about for sure. And yes, we do. I agree. I agree.
All love between those two institutions.
It is.
We took care of each other. So yes. Shaw University, St. Augustine's, North Carolina Central, we're all one family because a lot have traveled the same circles. So, I went to undergrad at Shaw University. I went to grad school at North Carolina Central. And so when I pledged,
I'm sure you're a Sigma, right?
yes, I had some travels over at St. Augustine's. So St. Augustine's, and we know what St. Augustine is going through, and it's just imperative that we do everything to make sure that this institution uh, retains its accreditation, and that we do everything to support these students over at St. Augustine's. And thoughts and prayers to this institution that has done so much for the community.
Yes, with the historical hospital on the grounds and everything. So let me ask you something. I thank you for saying that, those kind words. So it's good to know that if we need to call on representatives or anybody like that, that we can do that. That y'all believe in the HBCUs, because sometimes it seems like they're trying to push us out. Now, let me ask you this. I know there's other things that are near and dear to your heart and to the area, and that's our veterans. And
Yeah.
just recently, I saw a post that you did in regards to a large, I think $100,000 grant. Can you
Right.
talk about our veterans and why that grant was so important, and what we can expect?
Well, I would tell you this, and thank you for the question. We have a DAV facility here in Eastern Wake County, and so it represents those in Northeastern Wake County. And so it's small in size. Most DAVs are. And so, when I was first appointed, I had been invited to our local DAV, and I was just appalled at what I saw. These are folks that have sacrificed their lives for us. We would not be able to sit here and have this conversation we're having this evening if it were not for our armed forces.
That's right.
So they've done a lot for us. And so when I visited this place, I noticed that there were veterans that may have had some mental health issues, PTSD, and may have needed that space for privacy. And it's almost impossible for one to have a private conversation in a room that may be 1,300 to 1,400 square feet of space. And you could put up all the partitions you want, but there's no privacy there. But we do it for our other institutions, but we're talking about our disabled veterans. They come home and they need assistance with housing and other resources, and I just think we can do much better than what we're doing. So we were fortunate, my office, to be able to realize $100,000. And so that $100,000 will go, as I understand it, to support expanding this particular facility. Now, $100,000, you can run through that quickly. Mm-hmm. So we still out working and trying to find if there are folks that are in the line of contracting and building, and you want to volunteer your time and resources, this will be a good way of giving back to our disabled veterans, because these folks have sacrificed so much for us, and they continue to do so. And so I'm going to make it my passion, to pay it forward. And this is just a small token of our appreciation for what these folks have done and what they continue to do. But it is my hope through, additional partnerships and additional conversations, we'll be able to realize some more resources to help these folks. And it's not just this DAV. There are other DAVs, and you've seen most DAVs. They're smaller in size, and it made no sense to me. It makes no sense to me when a person goes and spends 30 or 40 years in the military.
Yes, sir.
And they come home to get resources that are much needed. And this is how we say thank you.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And they fought for us. And there, so many of them are homeless.
Right.
So many of them are hungry. So many
Right.
of them are jobless. And it's sad to see. My dad was a veteran. He's actually in the. They have a park out in Garner, a veterans memorial, and he's in there as the first African American band leader for the Navy ever.
Wow.
You know, and I didn't even realize that. I was so grateful to my
Yeah.
uncle for sharing that with me. That's history. I was like, yes,
That's it. And again, that's an important reason why we need to vote, because when you're beginning to take this type of history out of our public schools because you feel that you may be threatened by this is history repeating itself all over again.
All over again.
You take the history from one's background. Now you have the ability to indoctrinate these folks into believing and following your rules and your faith. And that's not the American I know. That's not the America I know. That's not democracy. And that's not helping our young folks. Our history is very important to us for a number of reasons. And
now,
so,
you know, I got to ask you this. I didn't mean to cut you off. So you're a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity, the Eta Sigma Chapter, and honorary Rotary member. And other memberships include the NAACP, Wake County Wendell Chapter, the Legislative Black Caucus, the Order of the Longleaf Pine, and Wake County Democratic Women. So why is it important for individuals to really get involved? I never pledged anything, but I try to do these things like this. This is how I do what I do. I've never really gotten to a lot of organizations, but there is a significance of being a member of a lot of these organizations that I just read off. Can you speak to why individuals that have gifts and talents need to really come out and get involved in some of these great organizations?
Well, I'll first say, for me, for instance, there's nothing like a fraternity or a sorority. And as a former student of Shaw University and North Carolina Central grad HBCU, that's a part of who we are. And that connection, it's unique within itself, because when I was speaking earlier about paying it forward, this is what members of the Divine Nine do. They pay it forward. And if you look at some of the things that these fraternities and sororities are doing, adopting a highway, collecting money for fan drives and stuff. So, we're not just sitting there meeting. They're doing meaningful things, creating scholarship opportunities, creating leadership, and those things are very important. And paying it forward in providing other resources to our community. So I think it's important to get involved and to be involved with these organizations. It affords you the opportunity to be able to network. It affords you the opportunity to be able to create opportunities and access to an education, but also to strengthen partnerships and be resourceful. So as a legislator, when it comes to trying to identify resources, if I have a constituent that may call me and say, well, I can't pay my heating bill, or I can't do this. There may be a fraternity or sorority that have raised money to provide fans or what have you. Those are resources we have available at our fingertips. So I would say this is why it's important. Things like the NAACP, it's a part of our history. It's been a part.
Yes.
We all should be engaged and involved with our NAACP, because, things didn't just stop with Dr. King and Malcolm X and other leaders. These resources were put in place to help us to push forward, to get out folks, to educate folks to get out and vote and understand the importance of voting. And the NAACP plays a critical role in that. And so I think it's it's important to get involved in a lot of these organizations and committees, because they are connected to the community. And if you want to pay it forward, you know,
Get
you,
involved, right? Somewhere.
yeah,
Do something. Get out the house. I can see why you've gotten a lot of these awards. I see where it said you received many accolades for your leadership and commitment to the community. The Gus Witherspoon Award in politics. Oh my goodness. And the Order of the Longleaf Pine Award for 31 years of service to Wake Technical Community College, at the highest civilian award for the service through the state, granted by the office of the governor. Talk to me about that right there. Wake Technical. I remember I did a few of those classes over through the program they had in the evenings. But talk to me about how that part of your life was inspirational to you and important to you over
well,
what you did at Wake Tech.
yeah. Well, thank you for that question. I will tell you, I started out at Wake Tech. I think it was the late '80s, and I had decided to leave television and radio. I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in library and information science. And I remember taking a $5,000 cut in pay from WRAL, where I was working, to go over to Wake Tech. And when I got over to Wake Tech, things just started happening. I just started working hard, and I kept saying, well, you'll make that money back. You just work hard and be committed to what you're doing. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I would fall in love with serving at this institution, because I saw a lot of folks from stressed communities coming through those doors, and they were not turned away. They were given an opportunity, and affordable opportunities. And so I just made it one of my lifelong missions to support education, and to realize there were things that could be created to get folks in the door of the community college. You don't always have to receive a 4-year degree.
Right.
You know, I know neighbors that are successful plumbers that are doing extremely well, that have gone through the doors of Wake Tech in the culinary arts program. And so when I realized the impact that this institution had on our greater wide community, especially those from our underserved communities, it just, you know, sent me into another gear of wanting to create ways and do things to support those opportunities for these folks. And I will tell you, at the time I was working at Wake Tech and I was the mayor of Knightdale, we created a festival, the Arts and Education Festival. We were able to create scholarship opportunities through local business partnerships, nonprofit partnerships, where we were able to realize $500 here, $1,000 here, to send someone off to school that would not otherwise had the opportunity to go. And we knew once we got them in Wake Tech doors, the foundation department would help fund them to make sure that their educational tenure was sustainable. And we had a lot of these folks to graduate successfully from Wake Tech, transfer to a 4-year institution, gone on to get their PhDs. Some are business owners now. Some are working, you know, for successful businesses and are doing extremely well. And so I just made it my passion to do everything that I could do as an administrator to support these efforts. And I still have close ties with Wake Tech because I've seen what this institution has been able to do. It's the best deal in town. When you can go to an institution and get a 2-year degree,
yes,
and transfer those credits to a 4-year institution and save tens of thousands of dollars, that's a win-win situation. And that person, when he or she graduates from that 4-year institution or they get their master's degree, they don't have the $70,000 or $80,000 worth of bills that they have to pay because they got that start at that community college. They got a 2-year degree there. They transfer those credits. So you're saving tens of thousands of dollars. And then you can go into most of these institutions that have an articulation agreement with the community college and start out as a junior. So you only have 2 or 3 years to finish your 4-year degree. So now you have a hand up, because now you have a 2-year degree accompanied by a 4-year degree, and business and industry looks at that.
Wow. Now, I know that you have some upcoming things that are on your agenda, some initiatives, anything that you would like the people to know that is working, just like that grant you just did for the veterans. I saw a lot of different posts you have. Any other things that you would like to mention and let the people know that is going to be happening soon?
Well, I would tell you this, Crystal, my focus right now, because, of course, we need to get out and vote on Tuesday, although it's a primary. I don't have a primary, and I don't have anyone running against me in the general. But I'm out raising monies because we have to do it. We run every 2 years, so it doesn't stop. But I'm taking this time to visit the various entities in my districts, the schools, the elementary schools, participate in those type of programs, working closely with municipalities. We just opened up our fire station here, fire station number 4 in the town of Knightdale, which is going to help keep the cost of homeowners insurance down because of the response time being excellent. I'm going to be working with the folks in Wendell, Zebulon, Roseville on some of their initiatives, but I'm going to spend a great deal of time getting folks to understand the importance of this upcoming election and the importance of getting out to vote. So, whether you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, it's important that we exercise our right to vote. It is my hope that if you care about your public school system, that you would do everything possible to get out, to let us know on Jones Street, hey, you're not in control of this. We are. And if you're not aligning your values with us, we're going to vote you out. It's just simple as.
And how can they reach out to you? You did say that they can reach out to their representative, or what is the contact information, or if they can reach out to you, what would be the best way for them to,
and I downtown? At hand, I'm not good at keeping that information, but anyway, they can.
We'll put it back. We'll post it. If you send it to me, I can add it to the live. Now, I tell you what, you also got to tell me, I know you went to school for film and stuff, but you got fireworks popping up behind you and all kind of stuff. I said, wait, you got to tell me about how you did all them tricks. I'm like, wait a minute, I got thumbs up and fireworks. I said, okay, he got some stuff going on over there. He's going to have to tell me about that. I didn't realize you had that background. I said, okay, I'll be calling you back and your assistant back for that one. Well, I appreciate you. I really do. And I thank you for taking time out to come and allow me to have this conversation with you and to let the people meet you, and for just trusting me with this interview. You know what I'm saying? And I thank you, because we met on social media. I just happened to see you, and I just happened to see that post, and I said, you know what, I'm going to reach out. So I thank you so much. Any closing comments that you would like to let the people know that I didn't ask you about?
Well, no, but I will say this, Crystal, continue to do what you're doing, because I think it has a significant impact on the community. And I think this is just awesome in terms of you doing what you need to do in order to educate the community and make the community aware of what's going on. So I would just ask the community to continue to support your efforts, because this gives us an opportunity to get on and hopefully reach folks and change some of the thinking for those that may not otherwise have made the decision to, or said they were not going to get out to vote. And so hopefully we have changed a few minds. And I'd just like for folks to feel free to reach out to me. I'm accessible. That's important to me. And one last thing, I know you have to go. Regarding the DAV, we're going to continue to push forward to support their efforts. And if there's anybody that would like to volunteer time, their service, please, let's support this wonderful entity that has done wonderful things for our communities. And we have Memorial Day coming up. So if you see a veteran, so often when I see a veteran, I don't have to wait until a certain holiday. I take the time out to thank them for their service or buy them a cup of coffee.
Now, how can we, if someone is watching this and they want to go and assist, whether it's that location or any location, how would you recommend that we reach out? And should we tell them that Representative Roberson told us to call?
Yeah.
Or what should we say? What do you think the appropriate way to do that is?
They can reach out to my office, or you can look it up on the website, which is the Wake County DAV Chapter 1, and it's off of Hodge Road.
That's right up the street too from me, because I'm in Nightdale. And what do they need? What do they need volunteers for?
I think I can't speak for them, but on the outside looking in, they need more dollars to realize this expansion. $100,000 is going to help them out a lot, but it's going to take much more than $100,000 to do it. So they need support there. They may need support in other areas, but I think Tressa could, who heads that area, could provide folks with, what they need. And I would also like to be able to have them to come back and speak on your show.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think it's important that folks really hear it from the source and see the impact that these folks are making on the community and how involved they are in the community.
And again, I would love to hear from them, because we'll hear their heart,
right?
Their pain, right. Their hurt, because I'm sure they're disappointed in a lot of areas, and a lot of times people really don't know the story. We really might need to hear what they've been through, their mental anguish, and the things that they have seen and heard and felt, and how disappointed they are. I think it's important. I think maybe it needs to be heard more. So I would be delighted to do that, because I think it's necessary. That's what story time is. Story time is the place where I want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. The stories that might not be told otherwise, like on WTVD, WIL, eventually one day, hopefully I get a spot over there too. But, I wanted to get over there, but then I kind of like doing my own thing like this too, because it's my own lane. And so I don't have nobody dictating to me, because I want to hear from the little people too, the ordinary people. You understand that they might not see as important, but they're very important. And you coming from your background, you understand what I mean when I say that. A lot of time people look at ratings and all these things. And for me, it's about the heart of the people in the community and what is really happening out here. Just finding out the truth about what's going on in these streets.
Yeah.
So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your service. I thank you for your commitment and your heart for the people. And I look forward to hearing back from the young lady to schedule them to come on. Absolutely. And I definitely will be in contact to get them tricks that I've seen coming up on the screen. But ladies and gentlemen,
hey, that didn't come from me. I don't know where it came from.
Really? I got to figure that out, because they only popped up for you. They didn't pop up for me.
I thought it was coming from you. I was like, okay.
And I don't know what's doing it. I have to figure it out. I need to figure it out. I'm working on a production team, so I need to figure that out. But ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Story Time. I'm the girl, Crystal Bodie Smith. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. I want to say, if you give hope, if you receive hope, and you live hope, then you can't go wrong. I always like to say, keep hope alive and just keep going until you can't thrive anymore. I look forward to seeing you next time, 8 p.m. this Wednesday, Eastern Time. Go back, please, whatever you do, and vote. Don't think it doesn't matter. And hold everybody accountable in your household. Everybody that is of age needs to vote. So take them with you. Get them out the bed. Tell them, come on, we're going together. Make it a family outing. Like, let's go vote together. Represent. Let's have those conversations more in the house about the importance of voting. Stop thinking it doesn't matter, because it does. We need each other. We have to stand up for one another. We have to. Period. I mean, that's it. And don't forget, call your representative. They can help you with areas that you just might not be able to help yourself. I'm the girl, Crystal Bodie Smith, signing off. And I'll see you on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central Eastern, excuse me, right here on Storytime. See you next time. Thank you, Representative Roberson. I appreciate you. Y'all don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you next time. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we'll see you on Storytime once again. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.